Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this series of professional development videos being organised by Brain Friendly Training. And that's really what this series is about, is how you make sure that you deliver your content in a brain-friendly way. What I like to do in this series is to give you some tips, some hints, some insights, and how you can excite your learners, how you can engage your learners, and really how you can empower your learners with the delivery that you use in getting your content across. Now, this means that it doesn't matter what your content is. You might be a motor mechanic trainer. You may be a consultant doctor in a hospital who's giving training to junior doctors. You might be a rural fire brigade volunteer educator. It really has not a lot to do with the content that you're giving, but it's the way you give that content across. Now, when we talk about brain-friendly training, there are 5 principles about brain-friendly training. These principles are state, and saying the state of the learner's mental state and readiness state is vital, because it's the state people are in when they receive the information has an absolute correlation to the state they default to when they use that information. What that means is that they are in a resourceful and engaged state when they receive the information. That's the state they're going to be in when they go to use that information. The next principle, and there's, by the way, there's going to be a lot of stuff around state and ways that you can change state and get people engaged by your voice, by your words, by your focus, by your activities. The next principle is the principle of keeping it real. That for adult learners in particular, they have to see that there's some benefit for them in that information, some real benefits for them personally. So I'm going to give you lots of tips about how you make sure that you feature the benefits of your information. It's called the WIFM. The next principle is the principle of uniqueness, that each learner is unique. So there's going to be some tips throughout these video series on how people learn. There'll be the visual learners, the auditory learners, the kinesthetic learners, and the tactile learners. But I'm going to give you some real practical examples that you can use to engage each of those 4 learning styles, but also to engage them together, where learning really sticks. I also want to talk about left and right brain tendencies. I want to talk about Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences. And I also want to give you some tips that you could use for global learners, because they're the biggest group in the population, but they're the ones that have been left behind by the traditional education system. I then want to look at the whole idea of the principle of multisensory, saying with the brain's senses that if you can give the information across and you can activate as many senses as possible in delivering that information, then your learner has got so many more senses that they can draw on and fire up when they go to use that information. So we want to make you aware that the importance of using the senses in your delivery. And the 5th principle is the principle of getting them being creative, not just consumers. And I'm going to talk there about lots of ideas of how you can get your participants creating their own neuron pathways and patterns. And particularly the whole idea that they are going to be the creator, that 30% of your time should be used to give information, but 70% of time should be them doing something with that information. And we're going to give you lots of tips and ideas of how you might do that. Again, doesn't matter what your content is. The whole series of these videos is meant to be empowering. It's empowering for you as a trainer to give you lots of ideas and really to be able to excite your learners that they want to learn. It's going to empower the learners because they will be able to get that information quickly and have that information stick and be able to draw on that information. It's going to be about empowering delivery. Now, we will do our very best that each of these video clips will be kept to 5 minutes so that it's not going to take a lot of your time. But in watching the video for 5 minutes, we're then going to ask you to go back and look at using 1 or 2 of the things that we've talked about in the next week, so that you can see if you can use this in your training and your delivery to really get that excitement going again. Folks, there's going to be lots of tips and tricks. We're going to be doing it 25 different ways that you can use a sample of a pack of playing cards to engage learners. We're going to use masking tape as an engagement activity. Again, you think, wow, what's this going to be? When you see it, you'll see how simple it is, but how it just gets those people engaged through that change, that state of inquisitiveness and curiosity. This information is meant to make sure that the learning sticks, that your delivery really helps and is delivered in a brain that is brain friendly. Okay? Folks, I'm going to be using all the principles of accelerated learning and also the principles of adult learning so that you are putting these principles into a practical framework. Most importantly, we anticipate that you're going to get a lot of information from these series of weekly 5-minute videos. This has got to be about you, and it's got to be about how we can engage you and empower you as a really great training educator and deliverer. So again, welcome to this series of brain-friendly training videos, and we look forward in the next few weeks to give you lots of tips and lots of ideas to make that engagement and delivery as exciting as possible. Till next week,